This problem asks us to find all real numbers in the interval 0 to 2 pi, so we're working in radians, that satisfy the equation tan of 2x minus 5 equals 0. So the convention is that we're assuming that 2x is in the tangent. Okay? Often they'll be nice and put parentheses in, but if they aren't, we're to assume that the 2x is the input for the tangent. Because this is minus 5, that's not a part of the input. Okay? I'm trying to solve for x, so I'll start by adding 5 to both sides. Okay? Now, I don't happen to know tangent in takes an angle and out puts a slope, or opposite over adjacent. I don't happen to know, say, the angle that would give me a slope of 5. So over 1 up 5, something like that. There's an angle. Notice there's another angle down here. That's where a calculator comes in. Now, since I'm in radians, what I have to do is I have to press mode. I have to go down, select radians, and then quit. Now I'm going to use tan inverse of 5. Okay, so I get 2x equals tan inverse of 5. Now, as soon as I use tan inverse is assuming tan inverse will only give me values in the first or the fourth quadrant. So it's going to tell me this value. I have to use my knowledge of tangent to know there's also something in the third quadrant. So 2x is going to equal 1.37 radians. You might even write in radians, although it's assumed that if it doesn't have a degree sign, it's in radians. Most of the time we see radians with a multiple of pi. But this one's not. This is 1.37 radians, and that's it. Okay, so that's this number up here. But that's not the only number, obviously. That's not the only angle that'll get me a slope of 5. If I took that plus another 180 degrees, which is actually in radians pi, plus another pi radians, then I'm going to get something of that slope. If I took another pi radians, I'm going to get back to something of that slope. So what I'm going to write is 1.37 radians plus pi k radians, where k is an integer. Now I need to make sure and make that period a part of my equation before I do the next step. That's the list of possible inputs for 2x. What's the possible inputs for x? Well, I'm going to take that number, I'm going to divide it by 2. That's 0.69 plus pi halves k. Okay? That's the list of all my inputs that will solve that equation. Okay? Let's see how many of those, this is the list of all of the inputs, how many of those fall between 0 and 2 pi. So obviously I have 0.69. That's less than 2 pi. Now 2 pi, I know pi is about 3.1, so this is something about 6.2, right? So let's see, I've got that number. I can add, say, pi over 2. That'll get me 2.26. Then I can add another pi over 2. That'll get me 3.83. Add another pi over 2. That gets me 5.40. I'm getting close. Let me add one more. Pi over 2. Notice that that gets me something bigger than 2 pi. These 4 values, however, are all values in the interval that will solve this equation.